What an absolute delight this throwback action comedy is. Wolves, written and directed by John Watts, is a stylish and entertaining flick which is perfect for the weekend. It feels in many ways to be a product of the early 2000s, with its strong white male leads, apolitical banter, and emphasis on plain old entertainment free from, to quote the critical drinker, the message. There's nothing I could see which was designed to offend any segment of society. Instead, it's built from top to bottom with an eye to bringing together as huge a group of people as possible and making them all laugh, cringe, and nod along at the action. In other words, it's exactly what broad appeal movies are supposed to do. Provide good, gripping fun, and so I do recommend giving it a shot. Our story opens when Margaret, a family-first DA with a big vision for New York City, is caught up with a dead prostitute in a swanky hotel room. Margaret calls in Jack, a fixer who is the best at what he does to clean up the mess. He's handsome, suave, and ready for anything. But the pot is stirred when the hotel's owner, Pamela, using illegal surveillance in the suite, captures incriminating evidence of the DA and orders in her own fixer, Nick. He's the best at what he does and is handsome, suave, and ready for anything. So naturally, each man is a lone wolf, hence the title being spelled as it is, and tensions arise between these sigmas as they're coerced into working together. The pot is further stirred when the seemingly dead prosty awakes and incriminates our fixers, the DA, and the hotel owner, in with the mob who are after a few $100,000 in drugs. What happens next is a series of at times funny and always well-crafted set pieces which push these lone wolves together and along on one hell of a chaotic evening, where they must deal with a body, a bag full of drugs, and a lot of dangerous men. The first thing to mention about Wolves is that it's very strongly written in the traditional sense. By that I mean we have good setups and payoffs. We have a very clear character arc for our heroes. Every scene is structured beautifully to push the story along into the next scene. All the typical ideas you have about a compelling narrative are on display here thanks to John Watts's tight script. But it is a typical action comedy film, so as I mentioned at the start, you would have seen this type of pick a few times a year in the early 2000s. But I don't hold that against it because well-crafted entertainment is always a winner in my book. My only little teeny tiny criticism with the script is a second act chase scene. It drags on a little longer than necessary, though it does serve its purpose by bringing the wolves together around mutual respect. So again, minor wrinkle in an otherwise properly formed story. Next there's our actors. Any film which boasts George Clooney and Brad Pitt is bound to be as smooth as silk and as cool as the Arctic. And yes, our leads are just that and more. Brad Pitt is a movie star with charm and swagger and good looks and charisma, and what a cunt! How can one man be so blessed? Now, from what I've heard, he's an arsehole in real life, but the point still stands. The man won the genetic lottery and I'm jealous. George Clooney is equally the movie star, though he has an earthier vibe, which works for being a bit older than Pitt, and as his character is a little more disgruntled. Amy Ryan is great as usual and very convincing as a DA, though her role is a little shorter than I would have liked. It's a minor quibble because I'm just a fan. Of all the actors though, it's Austin Abrams as the kid who really helps put the comedy in this action comedy. He comes into the picture in the second act and delivers a hilarious monologue which had me beaming. That scene alone made the movie far more entertaining than I anticipated, as Austin delivered the goods in the comedy department, and so I think he deserves a lot of praise. Finally, we have very nice direction from John Watts. Elegant camera work throughout the hotel suite with mature pans and dollies helps keep the story flowing and accentuates our wolves' professionalism as they elegantly clean up a crime scene. Wide shots establish every character in frame and opens up dialogue scenes between them so that instead of cutting between faces, we instead rack focus. Clooney and Pitt have plenty of banter as their characters push one another's buttons, and all that energy is captured by the camera so that you're drawn into the world and the blossoming friendship. Now, it must be said said that if Hollywood simply made films like Wolves, then there wouldn't be so much animosity towards the industry at large. This doesn't mean you have to exclusively make films with white men, guns and drugs and such, but rather just focus on telling an entertaining story without an obnoxious belief that writers are obligated to preach about some hot button issue. A decade ago, Wolves would have had a good theatrical run and even greater exposure on the DVD market. But now it'll probably be forgotten on Apple Plus in a week, and that's kind of a shame. I don't think the movie deserves its own franchise, which I think I read is coming, but it's still worth a bit of your time. So I recommend you give it a go this weekend if you're in the mood for fun, excitement, and a short-ass movie. Thanks for watching.
So you're secret partners?
We're not secret partners.